endeavors.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Okay. Tonight we're going to have a two-part presentation where we're going to start with the financial aid overview of the FAFSA and different types of federal financial aid that students can receive. And then the second part of the presentation will deal with scholarships and just how important winning free money is. And I'm not only going to talk to you from a school counselor point of view, I am now a parent who has gone through the actual process of scholarship applications and financial aid, as I have two young men in college right now currently. So I'm going to talk to you from that parent point of view as well. Okay, so let's get started with the first part of the presentation, which is going to be the financial aid overview. Okay, next slide. Okay, so what is financial aid? First of all, it is federal, meaning that this money is coming from the federal government, okay? And it is money to help you pay for college or vocational school. So that's what career school means. It can come from a variety of sources, but tonight we're going to focus on the federal aid, meaning federal government. Okay, and it can come in a variety of forms, whether that's student loans, Pell Grants, different types of grants, as well as work study. Okay, next slide. Now, the sources of financial aid, we live in the state of Florida, so it can come from the state of Florida in way of the state federal or the state grants from the state of Florida, the federal government, the individual schools and colleges that you apply to, private agencies, community organizations, and employers, and then, of course, students and parents, the monies that you have saved for college. Next slide. When we talk about the federal student aid, we're talking about grants, which is free money that you don't have to pay back, borrowed money in the form of loans, and then work study. That's federal work study. That means a job that you have on campus that will take into consideration that you are a college student. So the work hours have to conform to your student schedule, your student class schedule, and you earn money on that campus job while being a college student. Okay, next slide. Now let's talk about grants, because if it is free, it is for me. That's a mantra that I like to use when it comes to grants and thinking about scholarships, because these are monies that you don't have to pay back. Okay. It's usually awarded on the basis of financial need, and that is where the FAFSA application comes into effect, where you're looking at the parent's income to determine if there's a financial need in order to win certain grants. Then you have the Teach grant, which is not on here, but that's another federal grant that's a part of the FAFSA application. Now, the FAFSA application opens annually every year on October 1st. And so it is open right now, where students are actively applying, as well as not only high school students, but college students as well. They're actively reapplying for the FAFSA. So that's one thing that I'd like to point out. Not only do high school seniors apply for the FAFSA, but when you get to college every year at the same time, college students are also reapplying for the FAFSA for the following school year. Okay, next slide. Now, another part of the federal financial aid package are loans. Loans are different because you will have to pay those back. Um, as counselors, especially at Palm Beach Lakes High School, we try to push scholarships so that the kids don't have to take out loans. But sometimes loans are a necessity and you can't get around that, especially if your goal is to stay in school and stay actively enrolled. Okay. So repayment usually begins after you have graduated from school. There is a 6-month grace period where you are not incurring any interest on the loans. And then after that 6 months, the repayment process begins. Okay. All righty. The last point that I want to make about loans, if we go back, is loans can come from the federal government and private. The one thing that I want to say about that is that when you are considering private loans, you lose some of the student benefits of the federal loans. Federal loans have an interest rate that cannot be changed unless an act of Congress is done, meaning that Congress has to vote on the interest rate for student loans to go up or go down. Okay. With private loans, families are at the mercy of the banks and whatever the banks decide. And so with a loan, you are having more student protections. And this is important if you have to take out loans. With a student loan, you're having more student protections with the federal government. Okay, next slide. Now let's talk about work study. A lot of students work while they're in school, but the beauty of the work study program under the federal government is that work study has to take into account that number one, you are a student. Number two, you have classes, okay? And so your schedule, your work schedule must take into account that you are a student first, okay? These are jobs usually on campus where you are allowed to earn money. Now, when it comes to your whole financial aid package, some students think that work study is their own personal money. However, work study is once again a part of your financial aid. Therefore, you must always think of work study as a way to pay off your college debt before you benefit yourself personally with the money. Okay. Next slide. Now, my favorite word, scholarships. Because scholarships, just like grants, do not have to be paid back. Okay. These are monies that are awarded on several different bases. Merit, meaning academic or scholastic or any type of athletic or artistic merit that a student may have. Scholarships are awarded based on needs and then unique characteristics that a student may have. Scholarships are awarded by the colleges themselves, community agencies, and other organizations within the community. And so you will have, and you'll see this in part two of the presentation, you have a lot of different sources where you can get scholarship information from and possibly win free money. Okay, next slide. Now, the other sources of aid, veteran benefits, military service scholarships, and then vocational rehab. Veteran benefits are awarded to students whose immediate family members, parents, have served in the armed services and they are now veterans. And then you have your military service scholarships. So if you're interested in any branch of the military, but yet you decide to go to school first, the one thing that is of value is if your school has an ROTC program. These scholarships are usually full ride scholarships that benefit in the way of paying for your education, but you also may get stipends, book vouchers, where everything is covered. Now, that sounds lucrative in the sense of everything being covered. However, there is a service component to it as well. The one thing that we try to get our students to see at Palm Beach Lakes High School is if you're going to serve in the military, then the military service scholarships may be of value and may be of interest to you, because when you go to college and you um, join an ROTC program, you will graduate from college as an officer for your branch of the military. Okay. You have two forms of enlisting. You have an enlisting person, that is someone who graduates from high school and enlists in their service branch, or you have someone that attends college first on an ROTC scholarship, and then they go into their service branch as an officer, a pay grade, a higher commission. Okay, so the military service scholarships can be of value to anyone who is interested in serving in the military. Okay. And then you have vocational rehab, and those scholarships are for students that have IEPs. And if you are a student and you have an IEP and you are looking at college, you definitely need to talk to your ESC coordinator at your particular high school about the vocational rehabilitation scholarship and all of the benefits that go along with that program. Okay. Next slide. Now, the FAFSA, which is called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, is only on one website. And the reason I want to emphasize this is because there are a lot of scams that purport to help students with the FAFSA application. And so the only website for FAFSA is the one listed below, and that is FAFSA.gov. Okay. I want you to pay attention to that, because if you run across websites that will advertise helping students complete the FAFSA for a fee, parents and students need to run, okay? Because you do not need a company in, let me back up. You do not need to pay a company to help you with the FAFSA when there's so many free resources available, okay? Next slide. Now, what is the FAFSA and why is it important? Okay, just like the acronym stands for, it's the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Free, we want to emphasize that because it is not an application where you need to pay anyone to complete or to help you with. Okay, next slide. This is the website and what it looks like. And you can see right now that it is advertising for the 2026-2027 FAFSA application. Okay, so for current high school seniors only, this is the application that you would need to complete. Okay, next slide. Okay. Remember when I said there is no need to pay someone to help you? There are so many videos on YouTube and the federal student aid site itself that will explain what the FAFSA is, will give you directional step-by-step help if you need it. And then we're going to talk, if you do need in-person help or the form of human help to help you fill out the FAFSA, then we're going to talk about where you can get still free help with knowledgeable people who are knowledgeable about college, financial aid, and the FAFSA application. Okay, next slide. All righty. So once again, we want to emphasize this because we know that there are so many scams, and if you're not knowledgeable, it can be easy to fall prey to certain scams to help students and families complete the FAFSA. So first, if you need help, you're going to go to the FAFSA website. You're going to call the number that is located for help. They also have virtual chat assistance, email assistance, and then, like we have seen before, the videos on YouTube, the videos on social media. You can go to your high school counselors. If they are unable to help, they should at least point you in the direction of help. And so at Palm Beach Lakes High School, we used Palm Beach State College and the TRIO personnel. They came in and they did a FAFSA night with our parents about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. But they are very knowledgeable and they were very helpful in helping our parents, especially the ones who hadn't started yet, get started and lead them on the path of, step one, step two, and what do you do to complete your FAFSA application. Okay, so these are the help resources instead of having to pay a company to help you with the FAFSA. Okay, next slide. Now, scams. Very important that parents and students are not taken advantage of. Okay, just like I said, step one, you do not have to pay an upfront cost for help with the FAFSA. Okay, the other thing that you need to look for is that there is a promise or a guarantee of financial aid. No one can promise or guarantee anything. And so that should be the second red flag. Third red flag is that you have to provide username and password information. Those are things that you do not share with anyone. Think of it as your social security number. You need to keep those things private and to yourself in order to prevent identity theft, theft of financial records, and just a host of things that can happen when someone has your FSA ID and your password information for the FAFSA. Okay. Next slide. So, the one big thing that we want to emphasize is that you must organize, meaning dreaming big, plan, setting your goals, take action, which is achieving. Okay, you must do all three of these things if you want to successfully enter college without worry. And what we're talking about specifically tonight is financial worry. We want students to go to college to achieve those post-secondary dreams without the burden of financial worries. Okay. Next slide. Now, how do you get organized to complete the FAFSA? The first thing that parents and students must do is to create an FSA ID or FAFSA ID. This is your electronic signature for signing and completing your FAFSA, okay? You want to save your FSA ID in a secure location, whether that be notes on your phone or if you need to lock it up in a secure safe. But this is akin to your social security number. This is information that, like I said, you don't want it to fall into the wrong hands such that someone could steal and manipulate your identity, okay, especially dealing with the federal government. You want to make sure that you add the colleges that you want to receive your FAFSA information. And I think you can add up to 10 colleges, okay? And then once you apply, you want to log completely out of the FAFSA application and then log back in to assure that you have submitted everything correctly. You want to check back 48 to 72 hours to see if your application has been processed. And then you want to keep an eye out, especially on your email, for any correspondence from FAFSA, okay? Next slide. Okay, this presentation was created by Mrs. Wanda Thomas, and this is her information. Please reach out if you have questions about the first part of this presentation, which deals with the FAFSA application and federal financial aid. Okay. All righty. Okay. Before we go on, do I have any questions about FAFSA or federal financial aid before we go on to scholarships? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. And let's go on to my favorite part, which is scholarships. Okay, now hold on just a second. Could I get technology assistance? Let's see. With, I want to make it a whole screen. Okay. Now, with scholarships, I'm just going to lay out a blueprint for success with scholarship preparation and just how important this is. Okay. With scholarships, like we said before, this is money that you don't have to pay back. And so the mantra is if it's free, it's for me. And with everything that you do, we've always heard about how important it is to make a good first impression. And the same is true with the scholarship application. Your first consideration or judgment, you have to think about making a good first impression, as your scholarship application is that good first impression. Okay. Okay. The application is the foundation that helps you make the first rounds of cuts. You're going to strategically think about what you want to put on the application. You want to list your activities based on the purpose of the award. So you want to make sure that you're reading what the scholarship organization is about, what their purpose is about, to make sure that you understand what to put on that application that will make your application stand out. You want to highlight what you consider to be your most impressive achievements, and also make sure that those achievements coincide with the purpose of the scholarship. And then you want to be aware of what might be offensive to that organization. So, in essence, when you're thinking about applying to a scholarship, you're not only thinking about how you may be eligible for that scholarship as a student, but you want to research the organization that is giving the scholarship, making sure that you align with that organization's purpose. Okay. Now, the other part of the scholarship may be recommendations. And so when you think about recommendations, you have to think about the recommenders, not only your school counselors, but certain teachers, maybe community organizers that know you best. Okay. You don't want to haphazardly think about this part of the application process. You want to pick recommenders that know you well, that can write about you, and write personal letters of recommendation that highlight who you really are as a student. The first thing that you want to give any recommender is proper notice. So when I say proper notice, I'm talking about maybe 2 to 3 weeks notice in order to write that recommendation letter. You have to think about a recommender, say for instance, a counselor who you may come to a day before the application is due. Now, we as counselors, we try to help every student that comes to us, but when you come to us a day before an application is due, that not only puts stress on you, but it puts stress on the person who's writing the recommendation letter. So make sure that you give your recommenders a proper notice. And the other thing, you always want to speak to your recommenders with a resume, an activities resume. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in a few more slides. But we have been in this business for so long, and I often get asked, Ms. Duvall, can you write a recommendation letter for me? That's it. And so my first response when I get a student like that is to say, where is your activities resume? And they're looking at me. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. For the ones that don't, they're looking at me and I'm like, okay, just let's think about this for a minute. How can I write a good letter when I don't know everything that you've done in high school? I may know you maybe 1 or 2 years, but that doesn't tell me everything that I need to know in order to write the best personal letter that I can for you. And so I recommend that students always go to their recommenders with an activities resume in hand to give to the recommender, so that they don't have to guess, or they don't have to write a generic letter that they would send off for anyone. Okay. That's a very important part of asking recommenders or getting recommenders for scholarship applications. Okay. And so the other component of the scholarship application will always more than likely be a scholarship essay or personal statement. Now, this is the part that really gets students, because in high school, I would say from middle school to high school, you're used to writing essays, but rarely is it an essay about who you are as a student. 9 times out of 10, it's a academic subject that you're asked to write about. It's hardly, if ever, an essay on who you are. And so sometimes students, they take it for granted that it is extremely hard to write about yourself, especially when you're not used to doing it. But when we think about the goal of a college application essay or scholarship essay, it is to write about you in such a way that you are leaving that person with an idea of who you are before they ever meet you. Okay. That is the main goal. Let me leave that person with an impression of who I am before they ever meet me. Okay. And so you don't want to wait until the last minute. You want to make sure that you're answering the prompts. Okay. If it is a 2 or 3 part prompt, you want to make sure in your essay that you have covered everything that that prompt has asked. Okay. One question, and it's a very important one that we see often with the scholarship essays, is the question, why do you deserve to win? Now, why do you deserve to win is one of the hardest questions, because the first and the easiest answer is because I need the money. Well, everyone that is applying for scholarships either wants or needs the money. And so that is not the way that you approach that question. The best way to approach the question is to think about number one, doing your research, finding out more about the organization that's giving the scholarship, finding out some of their missions, goals, purposes behind their scholarship, and then you write towards that. Okay. You make sure that you are in some way aligned to their goals and their missions because remember, scholarships, free money. However, for the organization, it is an investment into the person or the student that's applying for the scholarship. And so, if we are financially savvy and thinking from the standpoint of the organization, you have to make yourself a good return on the investment. And that starts with the application first. Okay. And so when we think about, am I going to be a good return on their investment? Then it makes it a little bit easier to answer that essential question of why do you deserve to win? Okay. All righty. Like I said before, never write about your need for the money. That's a given. Okay. Everybody needs the money and the organizations know that. So we don't want to write the obvious. Okay. Highlight why you are the best deserving student. That's what you want to focus on. Okay. You want to be yourself. You never want to portray yourself as something that you're not. In essence, you want to be authentic and you want to be genuine in your writing. And so sometimes, like I said, that takes getting used to an essay form because students are not trained to write about themselves in school. And so, what may seem easy to some, if you wait until the last minute, will turn out to be sometimes your worst nightmare. Okay. And so, I'm going to start out with thinking about the process and thinking about why you deserve the scholarship, thinking about how you would be a good return on their financial investment into your life. And when you think about all of those things, then the essay writing may become a little easier. Okay. Now, let's talk about the activities resume because this is something that when you think about it, it is a lifesaver to a recommender. Okay. This is the moment where you get to think collectively about everything that you have done from ninth grade through 12th, the present. And so this isn't a resume that is going to stop when you write. Think about the fact that you may win more things or have more recognitions in your senior year that you will need to add on to your activities resume. And so I call it a brag sheet. Okay. It is a time where you get to highlight every achievement, every honor, every skill that you have learned throughout your 4 years of high school. You want to pack all of this strategically into one page. No more, one page. Okay. And your resume is very important because what I've seen on college applications, scholarship applications, is the fact that they're asking students to include it. And so when you think about this, the best time to begin developing your activities resume is probably in your junior year. If you don't start in your freshman year and you continue to add on year after year, then you don't want to wait until the senior year. So maybe the summer after you finish junior year and then, right before you start your senior year would probably be the best time to sit down and develop. Okay, the goal, like I said, is to aid in showing the scholarship committee that you are the most qualified student. It is also to aid the recommender, someone who is going to write your recommendation letter, to write a very genuine, personal recommendation letter for you. Okay. Now, the next part of the scholarship process is the interview. A lot of us don't think about that, but some scholarship applications will require interviews, others may not, okay? And so when we think about the interview, some students will get nervous, okay? But I try to tell my students that it's a conversation. It's a conversation that you're having with people that are older than you are, okay? People that are interested in getting to know you so that they can decide if you are the right person to award the scholarship to, okay? Um, if you've made it to the interview process, then know that you are a serious candidate, that they are interested in you. And so that for some people will make you a ball of nerves, but it can't be a situation where you go in nervous and you're thinking about the outcome before you even get through that process. You want to go in settled and confident and treat it like a casual conversation, but you also know what the implications are. Okay. And so you want to go dressed. You even may want to have a dress rehearsal, meaning a mock interview with a trusted adult that can help you relax and think about questions and how you will want to present yourself. So, mock interviews can be something that can not only prepare a student, but relax a student. Okay. You want to do your homework, researching the organization. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. You want to know the purpose of that organization. You want to know the purpose of the scholarship. Okay. And then finally, you want to show up, you want to dress up, and you want to speak up. Okay, so come prepared with questions, not only answers, but questions for the interviewers as well. That will definitely impress them. Okay. Now, you've heard about financial aid, you've heard about preparing for the scholarship process. Do you have any questions now? If you do, unmute yourselves. Okay. Well, if I don't have questions, I hope this information has been worthy for you and has given you some food for thought. I'm going to turn it back over to our host for tonight.
I want to say thank you so much, Ms. Duval, for the very insightful information that you've given to us tonight. I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody that attended this session appreciates it as well, because you've given us very valuable information. For those on the
Thank
call
you.
tonight, I just want to leave you with a couple of things. After this session, you will be receiving a review to let us know what you learned, if the information was valuable to you, what else do you want to hear from the West Palm Beach Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. Also, I want you to take out your calendars and please put down the date of January 24th of 2026, where we will have an essay writing workshop that is going to be presented by our chapter. It will again be a valuable workshop. Instead of it being via Zoom, we will have an in-person workshop the next time. So you'll be able to come in and meet all of us and receive some insightful tips from a lot of people, basically looking over your essays, giving you tips, and giving you valuable lessons on how to achieve and win those scholarships. If you have any questions or any concerns or have anything, please feel free to reach out to the chapter. If you want to get in contact with Ms. Duval, I'm sure I'm going to let her give you her information so that you can reach out to her and ask questions as well. And we have recorded this workshop so that if you have any other questions concerning the information that was given tonight, that you can reach out to her or reach out to the chapter, and we'll be very happy to forward that information. So thank you again for attending the workshop tonight. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you on January 24th. Please look on social media. You'll be receiving the flyer to attend as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good night, everyone.
Good night.